ladies and gentlemen, there is something about her walk, something about her presence, something about the way she rises from pain, carries her purpose, keeps her peace. She doesn't need to announce it. Heaven has already confirmed it. She is God's favorite, and here are 7 undeniable reasons why. This woman has scars not from falling, but from kneeling. She didn't run when the storm raged. She dropped to her knees and called on the name above every name. While others panicked, she prayed. And that prayer life made her dangerous in the spirit, knows her voice. Hell fears her endurance. Favor follows her because prayer fuels her. Life didn't go easy on her. She was dropped, betrayed, forgotten, overlooked, and underestimated. But she didn't crumble. She multiplied in the breaking. She turned her wilderness into a sanctuary. She found power in her pain and wisdom in her wounds. That's why God trusts her with influence. Because she didn't break under pressure. She birthed purpose through it. She didn't let heartbreak make her hard. She kept loving when it was risky. She forgave when it was costly. She stayed soft in a world that rewards hardness. This kind of love, the agape, sacrificial, healing kind, makes her look like God in motion. She's his favorite not because she was loved perfectly, but because she chose to love anyway. No confirmation. No contract, no applause, no visible support. Still, she believed, she trusted the vision in her heart more than the facts in front of her. She walked by faith, not sight. And when you believe like that, you become unstoppable. Heaven can't ignore a woman who trusts even when she can't trace. She no longer begs for validation. She no longer shrinks to fit. She no longer asks, am I enough? Now, she walks like she is the solution. Because she is. She doesn't need a seat at the table. She builds the table, invites others to it, and blesses them before they even sit down. Her presence solves problems. Her spirit shifts atmospheres. Her confidence is holy ground. You can't just roll up in her life anymore. She's learned the value of her peace. She guards her joy. She doesn't explain her boundaries. She enforces them. Because she knows her oil is costly. She won't pour into cups that poke holes in her soul. That's why she's favored, because she knows how to protect what God poured into her. She didn't choose comfort, she chose calling. She didn't say, pick someone else. She said, if you're calling me, I'll go. She accepted the mantle, the mission, the midnight prayers, the misunderstood seasons. Because of that, yes, God marked her, anointed her, elevated her. She is his favorite not because of who she is, but because of what she said yes to. You keep wondering where favor comes from. You see women walking in peace that surpasses understanding. You see doors opening for them that should have remained shut. You see oil dripping from their lives, oil that cost them something. And you ask yourself, why her? Let me tell you today, favor is not random. It is rooted in faithfulness. It doesn't come to the loudest voice in the room. It doesn't settle on the most connected, the most talented, the most educated. Favor falls on the faithful. The woman who stayed planted when it was easier to walk away. The woman who kept showing up when no one clapped for her. The woman who held on to the promises of God when everything around her screamed defeat. That's the woman who carries favor. Not because she's perfect, because she is persistent. You see, we live in a world that celebrates big moments, the stage, the spotlight, the breakthrough. Favor is not born on the stage. Favor is born in obscurity. It's born in that prayer closet, in that quiet yes to God when no one's looking. It's born in the sacrifice of hidden obedience. It's born in the places where your name isn't being called, but your character is being shaped. Favor is born when you sweep the floor with excellence, even though you're anointed for the throne. It's born when you clean up after others with joy in your spirit, even though you carry a global calling. You think God's going to trust you with public power when you couldn't be faithful with private obedience. No, beloved, God is not impressed with performance. He's drawn to the faithful. There is something about consistency that calls heaven's attention. You kept showing up. You kept giving. You kept praying. You kept forgiving. You kept sowing even when you didn't see the harvest. You were loyal when it wasn't popular. You were planted when it wasn't comfortable. And heaven took note. See, favor doesn't fall on people who only serve when they're celebrated. It falls on those who serve when they're invisible. That woman who looks like everything is working for her now. She cried herself to sleep last year. She gave when it hurt. She stayed when it would have been easier to leave. And now you see the fruit. But God saw the faithfulness long before the fruit ever showed up. She's favored because she didn't quit when her name wasn't called. She's favored because she stayed pure when compromise knocked on her door. She's favored because she put God first when everyone else was chasing platforms, chasing clout, chasing validation. Faithfulness is not glamorous. It's not sexy. It doesn't trend on Instagram. But it is the birthing ground of favor. When you serve with a heart that honors, when you submit even when you could shine, when you cover people who tried to expose you, that's when God starts marking your life with divine advantage. Faithfulness will take you further than fame ever will, because fame fades, applause dies. But what's birthed through faithfulness is eternal. It has staying power. It has generational impact. It's the kind of favor that opens doors you didn't knock on, puts your name in rooms you've never walked in, and gives you access to blessings you didn't even ask for. Don't get it twisted. Faithfulness is tested in the dry seasons, when you keep watering seeds and nothing seems to grow, when you keep praying and nothing shifts, when you keep speaking life and death surrounds you. That's where true favor is being forged. God watches what you do when it's hard, not just what you do when it's easy. When she was broke, she kept tithing. When she was lonely, she kept praising. When she was hurt, she kept serving. That kind of faithfulness doesn't just touch heaven. It moves heaven. It rearranges the schedule of heaven. It compels the hand of God to pour out favor, not based on merit, but based on covenant loyalty. Favor isn't luck. It's the result of years of yes when no one else was watching. The reason she's walking like she is now, the reason she shines even without trying, is because her faithfulness put her in alignment with God's timing. And once God's timing meets your faithful heart, no devil in hell can stop the blessing that's coming. Favor is not a reward for perfection. It's a response to alignment, to be where God told you to be, doing what He told you to do, even when it looks like it's not working. Some of y'all want divine acceleration without divine commitment. God is not giving kingdom access to hearts that can't be trusted with kingdom responsibility. That woman is God's favorite because she has been through the fire and didn't lose her fragrance. She's walked through betrayal and came out with a blessing. She stood in the face of silence and still praised. Because while others gave up, she got grounded. While others got distracted, she got disciplined. Let me be real with you. Some people are gifted, but they're not favored. Because favor falls where integrity lives. Favor flows through channels of obedience. If you want favor that won't fade, you need faithfulness that won't flinch. This woman is God's favorite not because of who she knows, but because of who she obeys. And when you walk in obedience long enough, heaven releases favor you didn't even know was stored up for you. Blessings you didn't pray for. Protection you didn't see coming. Open doors that were meant just for you, not because you earned them, but because you endured. So don't envy the oil if you don't understand the obedience. Don't covet the crown if you didn't see the crushing. She paid for that favor with faithfulness in the shadows, and now the spotlight doesn't shake her. Because the secret place is still her sanctuary. She could have stayed angry. She could have shut her heart. She could have let betrayal calcify into bitterness. But she didn't. She made a choice, not to be bitter, but to be bold. She didn't let the pain close her spirit. She let it open her purpose. This is a woman who went through hell and came out holy. The kind of woman who turned tears into tools. Who used heartbreak as a hammer to rebuild her future? When the world expected her to fold, she forged forward, and not with fear. No, she came out stronger, wiser, and more dangerous to the kingdom of darkness than ever before. Pain has a way of giving you options. It'll either paralyze you or propel you. She chose the latter, and when she chose to move, when she chose to rise, when she chose to speak up and step out, everything changed. This is not a woman who's untouched by grief. No, she has buried dreams. She has wept silently while still leading others. She has sat in rooms full of people and felt completely alone. She knows what it means to be disappointed, misunderstood. even betrayed by the very one she poured into. But rather than letting it poison her, she let it purify her. She let the pain teach her about people, purpose, about power. She stopped expecting comfort from broken sources. She stopped lowering her standards to be palatable to those who never had the capacity to hold her. The pain taught her how to discern, how to guard, how to grow. See, bitterness is rooted in self-protection, but boldness is rooted in divine purpose. Bitterness builds walls. Boldness builds altars. She chose to let the pain drive her to her knees rather than into isolation. And from that place of prayer, she rose up, not with a victim story, with a warrior's roar. She started speaking louder, not out of anger, but out of authority. She stopped apologizing for being too much because she realized she wasn't too much. She was just in the wrong rooms. Pain gave her vision. While others were waiting for apologies, she was walking into assignments. While others were nursing wounds, she was building platforms to heal others. What tried to silence her only sharpened her voice. Trying to delay her only deepened her drive. And now she walks differently. She doesn't second guess herself. She doesn't shrink back. She doesn't tolerate what she used to excuse, because pain introduced her to a version of herself she never knew existed. There's a woman you don't meet until you've been broken, until your heart has shattered and your faith has been tested, till everything you thought was secure falls apart and all you have left is God and grit. That's where she met herself. Not the version polished for public approval, but the raw, real, powerful version that came out of fire, unapologetic and unshakable. That version of her. She doesn't whisper anymore. She doesn't ask for permission to be powerful. She doesn't seek validation from people who were never assigned to value her. She learned through pain that you can lose everything and still rise, still reign, still radiate joy. She became bold in her healing, bold in her boundaries, bold in her calling. She stopped entertaining what drained her. She stopped tolerating lukewarm relationships. She stopped dimming her light so others could feel comfortable in the dark. The pain taught her that life is too precious to be passive. She started living like she meant it. And now she is dangerous, not because she's loud, but because she's clear. Not because she's flashy, because she's focused. Her boldness isn't arrogance, it's alignment. She walks like someone who's been in the fire and found God there. She doesn't fear loss anymore. She already survived what tried to kill her. You thought the pain would make her smaller, but it made her bolder. You thought it would humble her into silence, but it humbled her into power, because now she speaks from a place of authenticity that shatters strongholds. She doesn't just talk healing, she embodies it. When she walks into a room, hell trembles because they remember. They couldn't break her. Boldness doesn't mean she doesn't feel the pain. It means she no longer lets the pain rule her. It means she confronts it, carries it with grace, uses it like fuel. She turned pain into a platform. She made her suffering serve her. What the enemy meant for evil, she turned into strategy. She's bolder now in her prayers, bolder in her worship, bolder in her decisions. She's not scared to walk away anymore, not from people, not from positions, not from places that don't align with her purpose. The old her would have begged to stay. The new her has learned how to leave and never look back. Because when you come through pain like that, you stop negotiating your worth. You stop handing out discounts on your presence. You stop letting fear dictate your future. You don't have time to be bitter. You're too busy building. Yes, she's been wounded, but she walks like a woman who won, because she did. She won the battle with bitterness. She won the war with unforgiveness. Care enough, she won the inner fight between comfort and calling. And because of that, she is bold, not just in speech, but in spirit. And care enough, she doesn't just survive anymore. She commands. She doesn't just cope. She conquers. And when you look at her now, don't be fooled by the glow. And care enough, that light, see, it was lit in the darkness. That strength you see, it was built in the silence. That boldness you admire, it was forged in the fire. Care enough, so don't pity her for the pain. Thank God for it, because pain was the womb that birthed her power. And what rose from the ashes wasn't a bitter woman. Care enough, but a bolder one, a woman who laughs without fear of the future, a woman who doesn't flinch in the face of opposition. And care enough, a woman who walks like her scars are her story, and her story is a weapon. You might mistake her tenderness for weakness. You might assume that because she's soft-spoken or keen-hearted, she's easy to break. But make no mistake, her love is not fragile. Her love is not timid. Care enough. Her love is not ordinary. Her love is fierce, fearless, and healing. She doesn't love halfway. She doesn't love when it's convenient. Care enough. She doesn't extend grace only when she's understood. She loves like God touched her heart and poured eternity into it. Her love runs deep. It flows past faults, past failures, past fear. And it doesn't flinch when it's met with rejection. Care enough. Because her love is not based on what you do for her. It's rooted in who she is. It's not transactional. It's transformational. She's not waiting for perfect people to love. She loves people into their healing. She doesn't just stand by when others fall apart. She kneels beside them. Care enough. Rolls up her sleeves and loves them back to life. Her love is fierce because she's been through too much to love passively. She's held the hands of the broken. She's whispered hope in the ears of those drowning in despair. She's seen the dark, and still she chose to be the light. She didn't become fierce by accident. She became fierce by necessity. She has learned that love requires courage. Care enough. That loving people through their mess means risking heartbreak. That walking with someone through their healing is not for the faint of heart. Care enough, but she doesn't retreat, she stays. She believes, she endures. She loves fiercely because someone once loved her that way. Care enough, someone saw her when she was drowning in shame and reached for her anyway. Someone covered her when others exposed her. Someone unspoke life into her when she didn't think she deserved another breath. And that kind of love, it imprints on your soul. It teaches you how to love with fire. Her love is fearless because she's no longer afraid of loss. She's lost before. People, pieces of herself, places she once called home. She's walked through betrayal with grace. She's buried friendships. She's outlived pain that should have made her cold. But she chose to stay open, chose to keep giving, chose to let love move through her, not just to her. Fearless love doesn't mean she doesn't get hurt. It means she doesn't let the hurt close her heart. She feels it all, but she doesn't build walls. She builds bridges. Care enough, and it takes a warrior's heart to do that. It takes maturity to stay soft in a hard world. It takes bravery to love people who can't love you back the same way. Her love heals broken confidence. It affirms the unseen. It softens hard places and breathes life into the forgotten. Her words carry oil. Her embrace is a sanctuary. Her patience a miracle in motion. She listens with her soul and loves with her spirit. She doesn't just offer kindness. She offers healing encounters and care enough. Just being around her makes you believe again in yourself, in purpose, in God. She knows what it's like to be broken in silence. So she creates space for others to speak. She knows what it's like to be dismissed. So she looks people in the eye and reminds them, you matter. Care enough. You're enough. You're not too far gone. Her love isn't loud, but it's transformative. She doesn't need grand gestures to prove her loyalty. She proves it in the quiet moments, showing up, staying present, praying behind closed doors, forgiving over and over again. Her love doesn't keep score and care enough. It keeps covering. It keeps sowing. She doesn't love to get something in return. She loves because it's her nature. Care enough because it's her call, because she knows this kind of love is rare. This kind of love doesn't come from trauma. It comes from transformation. Yes, she's been through heartbreak, but it didn't make her hard. It made her holy. It drew her closer to the one who is love. The more she was hurt, care enough, the more she learned to heal. The more is rejected, the more she became routed in truth and love. It's her superpower. She is the woman who still calls after others go quiet. She is the woman who sends that just checking on you, text even when she's carrying her own pain. She is the one who shows up for others in ways no one ever showed up for her. Not because she's trying to be a savior, but because she remembers what it's like to be unseen. And now she sees others with divine eyes. She sees potential buried beneath pain. She's beauty behind the bitterness. She sees God's fingerprints in the most fragile souls. And she loves them until they see it too. Her love is not convenient. It's not polished. It's not perfect, but it's pure. It's rooted in sacrifice, covered in grace, and drenched in mercy. She doesn't just know the language of love. She is fluent in it. And everyone who encounters her walks away better. She doesn't love from her wounds. She loves from her healing, and that's what makes her dangerous to darkness. Because when a healed woman loves, she resurrects everything around her. Her love does not climb, it releases. It doesn't manipulate, it empowers. It doesn't demand, it covers. Care enough, her love doesn't control, it sets free. And there's a boldness in that kind of freedom. Now, some don't understand her love. They mistake it for naivety. Care enough, they assume it's weakness, but let them talk, because she knows her love is heaven sent. It's divine, it's radical, it's disruptive enough, and care enough. And it doesn't require applause to keep flowing, because she's not loving to be light. She's loving to lead people to wholeness. She doesn't wander. Care enough. She moves with meaning. She doesn't drift from place to place, waiting for life to hand her answers. She walks with intention because she walks in purpose. You can see it in the way she carries herself. She is not here by accident. She is not guessing her way through life. She knows who she is, and more importantly, she knows who she is. She has clarity in her spirit, not because she has all the answers, but because she knows the one who does. Her steps are not random. They're ordered by grace, guided by wisdom, directed by something deeper than logic or emotion. She is a woman anchored in assignment, and that assignment is bigger than her comfort, bigger than her plans, bigger than her fears. She used to live in confusion. She knows what it's like to be unsure, double-minded, swayed by opinions, shaped by rejection. Care enough. There was a time when she questioned her worth because others couldn't see it. A time when she tried to blend in because standing out felt too costly. But those days are behind her now, because purpose changed her posture. Purpose doesn't shout, but it settles you. It gives you focus. It tells you where to go and where not to go, who to entertain and who to release, what battles are worth your breath and which ones are simply distractions dressed up as opportunities. This woman doesn't chase clout. She follows calling. Care enough. She doesn't run after platforms. She walks with power. Because when you understand your purpose, you no longer need permission to be great. Care enough. You no longer ask for affirmation from people who don't even know your assignment. She's not confused about why she's here. Care enough. She's not lost in the noise of the world. While others are still figuring out what lane they belong in, she's building highways. Care enough, because she's tapped into her divine identity. She knows her gifts are not accidents. They are tools. Her voice is not a coincidence. It's a weapon. Her presence isn't random. It's revelation. Confusion creates chaos, but purpose produces peace. And the peace she carries now, she had to fight for it. She had to dig through disappointment, climb out of comparison, and disconnect from distractions. Care enough. The peace she walks in didn't come cheap. It came through clarity. She is not afraid of silence anymore. Silence used to terrify her because she thought silence meant she was unseen. But now she knows God shapes leaders in silence. Now, she doesn't fear the quiet. She leans into it, because that's where she hears God most clearly. She doesn't move just to move. She doesn't say yes to every opportunity. She doesn't stretch herself thin trying to prove she belongs. She is rooted. And from that rooted place, she grows upward with grace and outward with impact. When she walks into a room, she doesn't need to announce herself. Purpose does that for her. Her confidence isn't loud, it's unshakable. Because it's not built on circumstances, it's built on conviction. There's a calm power in her step, a holy boldness in her tone, a sacred precision in her decisions. She's not distracted by trends. She's not moved by applause. She doesn't get caught in the trap of doing it all. She knows what's hers to do, and she pours into that. She knows that purpose isn't always glamorous. It often means doing the unseen, the uncelebrated, the unthanked things. It means sowing in silence, serving in humility, standing alone when necessary. She's okay with that, because purpose isn't about being noticed. It's about being effective. Purpose has taught her the power of no. She's not confused by flattery. She's not enticed by temporary fulfillment. She doesn't chase people who can't carry her purpose, because purpose requires partnership with destiny, not just chemistry. She doesn't need someone to complete her. She needs someone who can run with her. Her relationships are purposeful. Her conversations are purposeful. Her rest is even purposeful. She knows when to speak and when to stay silent, when to fight and when to be still. She's not perfect, but she's positioned. There's nothing more dangerous than a woman who's in alignment. A woman who has found her rhythm with heaven, who no longer lives for approval but for assignment. A woman who doesn't just wake up to exist. She wakes up to impact. She has outgrown confusion. Confusion used to look like overcommitment, like pretending to be okay, like changing herself to fit in rooms she was never meant to enter. Now she knows better. Now she walks in discernment. She walks in confidence, in clarity, in courage. Purpose doesn't mean she doesn't face problems. It means her problems can't stop her. She's learned how to push through with wisdom, how to wait well, how to serve in seasons that don't make sense. Because purpose tells her this is not in vain. She no longer chases timing. She trusts God's timing. She's not in a rush. She knows that delay is not denial. She doesn't panic when things don't unfold the way she imagined. She walks in peace because she walks in purpose. Purpose has its own pace. This woman is not aimless. She is an arrow, and heaven pulled her back only to launch her forward with force. Pressure she endured. It was preparing her to pierce darkness. The confusion she left behind. It was clearing space for conviction. Now, everything about her life is intentional. How she loves, how she leads, how she listens. She's not guessing anymore. She's governed by vision. Vision bigger than her comfort zone, bigger than what people say she can do, bigger than her past. She knows that walking in purpose means walking differently. It means you can't go everywhere, can't say yes to everything, can't please everyone. But that's okay, because she's not trying to fit in. She's trying to fulfill destiny, because when a woman walks in purpose, everything around her aligns. Favor follows her, wisdom covers her, heaven backs her. Nothing, no fear, no failure, no opposition can stand in her way. She doesn't move the same anymore. She doesn't show up everywhere, doesn't entertain every voice, doesn't pour into every cup. Not because she's arrogant, but because she's aware. Aware of what she carries, aware of the cost, aware of the oil on her life. And so, like royalty, she guards it. She's been through too much to live casually. She's been pressed, crushed, misunderstood, stretched. And what came out of all that pain, pressure, and pruning? Oh, not just ordinary oil, but anointing, power, favor, clarity, wisdom, intimacy with God. And now that she's tasted what it means to be set apart, she refuses to be careless with it. She walks like a woman who knows she's carrying something sacred, something divine. She knows the oil didn't come cheap. It cost her sleepless nights, cost her obedience in seasons when rebellion would have been easier. It cost her friendships, comfort zones, and even versions of herself she had to bury. That's why she doesn't hand out her presence like a party favor. That's why she doesn't give access to people who come to take, but never pour back. She's no longer available to every invitation because she knows oil is too precious to waste. This oil, it was produced in private before it was seen in public. It came through isolation, not affirmation. It came through wilderness seasons where she had nothing but God and grit. It came through staying faithful when she was overlooked, staying soft when she was betrayed, staying grounded when everything was shaking. Royalty doesn't guard gold more fiercely than she guards her spiritual well. She understands that not everyone is entitled to what flows from her, that not every voice deserves her ears, that not every environment deserves her presence. Because where her oil flows, atmospheres shift. Where she pours, healing begins. Where she stands, darkness trembles. And so now, she discerns before she commits. She prays before she says yes. She asks God, is this for me? Before she lets anyone or anything near her well, she knows not every opportunity is divine. Every connection is covenant. Not every compliment is confirmation. There was a time she didn't guard it. A time she poured into broken cisterns. Time she gave all of herself to the people who couldn't value or carry her. And when she was drained, depleted, and exhausted, she still kept pouring because she thought that was love. She learned that guarding her oil isn't selfish. It's stewardship. It's maturity. It's wisdom. It's a deep understanding that if she keeps giving to people who only take, she'll end up empty for the ones God truly sent her to serve. Now she's not afraid to say, I can't come, I won't go, or this isn't for me. She doesn't over-explain. She doesn't apologize for protecting her peace, her time, her energy, her spirit, because she knows what she carries is holy, even in the Bible. Foolish virgins ran out of oil because they didn't manage it well. They didn't prepare. They didn't protect. They assumed they had more time. The wise virgins, they guarded their oil. They refused to share it with the unprepared, not out of pride, but out of purpose. She's not judging others. She's just careful. Because when you've almost lost your mind and God brought you back, challenge, you don't hand your mind over to confusion again. When you fought through depression, you don't tolerate people who stir up chaos in your soul. God restores your joy. You don't let toxic people sit in your spirit and dismantle it. She has spiritual boundaries now. Her prayer life is non-negotiable. Her worship is personal. Her solitude is sacred. She doesn't always answer the call, doesn't reply to every text, doesn't run when summoned. Because she's not a servant to people, she's a daughter of the King. She moves by assignment, not approval. She's careful with her emotions, careful with her words, careful with her giving. Because the oil is not just her gift, it's her evidence. Evidence that she survived what was sent to destroy her, that she endured crushing and still kept her praise, that she walked through fire and still smells like worship, not smoke, because she is royalty. She sits at the table God built for her, and she knows now not everyone deserves a seat. Not every voice gets a vote. Not every person who claps is for her, and she's okay with that. So when she says no, don't take it personally. When she pulls back, it's not bitterness, it's boundaries. When she stops overextending, it's not distance, it's discernment. She's learned that she is no one's savior. That her assignment is not to fix people, but to be obedient to the God who called her. She doesn't let culture define how much she gives. She doesn't let guilt lead her decisions. She lets purpose lead. She asks, is this God or is this guilt? Is this fruit bearing or is this draining? Is this covenant or is this convenient? Because the oil is not just about her, it's about those assigned to her. If she wastes it on the wrong people, she won't have it when the right ones need it. She's not just carrying oil for herself, she's carrying it for generations, for healing, for deliverance, for breakthrough. And so she guards it like royalty, like someone who knows she's marked, like someone who understands the price she paid to be whole. She doesn't take it lightly. She doesn't give it recklessly.